Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a bit of a shorter video, but I just kind of wanted to talk about this a little bit because it's something that is really bothering me and just something that I kind of wanted to get my thoughts out on. So I just want to tell you guys before I get started, I was just going to make like a TikTok, but I figured I didn't want to be under a time constraint, even though TikTok does have a 3-minute option. I'm not really good at getting my words out concisely, so I kind of thought I had more to say than what I could discuss in a 3-minute TikTok. And I saw these comments on YouTube as well, which is something that kind of got me thinking about all of this. So I'm not really sure why, but I was just kind of trying to see like who's presenting the directs, the Nintendo Directs and stuff, because I don't really watch Nintendo Directs anymore. And I was just looking at the latest Direct, which was from E3 2021, as of filming this video. And I sorted the comments by newest first, instead of top comments. All of the top comments were pretty much positive and were people who were excited for announcements in the Direct. But then I looked at the newest comments, and I saw a lot of trolls and a lot of people hating on Nintendo, which obviously that's going to happen. It's going to happen with any large corporation. When they release an announcement, people will hate them for something. But I saw people in the comments saying, talking about the OLED model, talking about the Steam Deck, talking about all of this stuff, and then like that wasn't even relevant to the Direct. I don't know why people were commenting on that video. I just do kind of want to talk a little bit about my thoughts about what's going on here. So shortly after the Direct, they announced the OLED model for the Nintendo Switch, which basically is a Switch with a bigger screen, and it has some other minor improvements, but it doesn't seem to be that much of an upgrade. And people were really angry because they had heard rumors and stuff. Oh, there's gonna be a Switch in 4K, and there's gonna be this or that, and I just kind of want to address this because it's something that has really bothered me for a long time. And this is something that I've noticed a lot of, that people are way too gullible on the internet. They'll believe anything when it comes to leaks and rumors, mock-ups. The fact that people will believe virtually anything, and I did not believe that the quote-unquote Switch Pro existed, and I don't think it existed, and I don't think it does exist. I would not believe that the Switch Pro existed, even though every single goddamn person under the sun kept telling me the Switch Pro was going to come out. This is not the Switch Pro. I want to be very clear that this model is not anything like what the Switch Pro was supposed to be. It's basically just a Switch XL. What you're talking about for a Switch Pro would be an improved model. It would be like the new Nintendo Switch, kind of like the new 3DS, whereas this is just the XL model, which was like the 3DS XL. That's kind of the equivalent, and the Lite is kind of the equivalent to the 2DS. So, this is something that I'm just trying to get out there and say that the OLED Switch is not the Switch Pro, and I don't actually think that the Switch Pro exists. And for months, everyone, including the guy at my local game store, literally everyone was telling me, there's going to be a new Switch, there's going to be a Switch Pro. I mean, he wasn't wrong about there being a new model, but still. And people were telling me this for months, that any day now the Switch Pro is going to get announced. It's going to have 4K. And I'm just like, bullshit. Like, I will not believe it until I hear it from Nintendo myself. And I don't even care how many times people say, oh, an inside source says. It's like, oh yeah, my uncle works at Nintendo. Like, so, like, no, I don't believe that. Like, I'm sorry, but I have trust issues. So I understand why a lot of people are frustrated with the fact that this model is not really the upgrade that they wanted, but when you're basing your expectations off of unconfirmed leaks, then you're the problem here, not Nintendo. Now, I do have a large issue, which is that they're not fixing the Joy-Con drift. They are using the same Joy-Cons, same Joy-Con hardware, and as far as we know, there is no fixing of the drift, and Some countries, they've stopped getting drift fixes altogether. You basically just have to buy new Joy-Cons, and it's not been like a huge issue for me because, again, I play docked 98% of the time, so I don't really care. The other thing is that's another reason I'm not going to be getting this model, because I think this model is good for people who either don't have a Switch or people who want a bigger screen for handheld, which, again, I don't care. But the thing is that the Switch is not that powerful, so saying, oh, it's gonna be 4K really soon is kind of pushing it. The other thing is that people time and time again are like, oh, the Switch needs a hardware update to be able to compete with the PS5. I'm like, no, it doesn't. It was never designed to be a competitor for the PlayStation or Xbox consoles, because those are dedicated home consoles. The Switch is a hybrid console. It's not going to be as powerful because it has the novelty of being a portable console with home console style games on the go, and also because it can run those same games portably. Obviously, it's not going to be a fucking powerhouse. It's portable. The PS5 is this huge hunking thing. Like, the Switch is portable. That's the whole marketing gimmick. I'm sorry, but it was never supposed to be a competitor for those consoles. And people who try to act like Sony and Nintendo are directly competing is honestly ridiculous, because Sony won the home console race years ago, and Nintendo has consistently been number one in the handheld market for decades. Literally, uninterrupted. They have never really had, the closest anyone got was Sony with the PSP. But Nintendo has never really, been overtaken in the handheld market. So the fact that they even would try to make a dedicated home console to compete after the failure of the Wii U, which already had a tablet screen that you could take off the TV, I don't really know what to tell you guys. It's just, it is not a direct competitor for the PlayStation 5 or any modern dedicated home console. And basing your expectations off rumors and leaks is stupid, and people need to stop being so gullible. Don't complain about something because you set your own expectations too high based on unfounded rumors. That's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to say is that I really don't think that the Switch Pro exists, and I don't think it's coming out, because they just announced they have no plans for a new model at this time. Now, people are freaking out about this, and to me, this is what I've had a hunch about for a while now. To me, this is just confirming their next console is coming. Next year will be 5 years since the Switch launched, and the Switch is doing super well. And again, considering I don't really see them wanting to ever go back to making a dedicated home console, because they're not going to stop making handheld games because they dominate the handheld market. So after the success of the Switch, I don't really see them ever going back to the Wii U 3DS format of having a home console and a handheld console separately. I don't really see them going back to that format. So I think whatever will come out, whether it's called a Switch 2 or if they keep the Switch branding or not, I think they will for at least this generation. But it is something that I'm just saying. I think this just shows that if they don't really have any more models in mind for the Switch, that they're just working on the successor to the Switch in the background and just haven't announced it yet. I think that's because it is a little too soon to announce it, because the only reason the Switch was announced as soon as it was because the Wii U was doing so badly. So considering the Switch is doing well, I don't think there is really any need to announce a new console yet, but they're clearly working on it. I think that's obvious. With the fact that they're not really planning more models. Of course they're going to make a successor to the Switch. Of course they are. And I think they're working on their next-gen console and it's not the Switch Pro, it will be some sort of successor to the Switch. And that's just my thought on that. So people complaining about the OLED Switch thing. Now for the Steam Deck issue. That I see a lot of people saying either that the Steam Deck is going to fail and that it sucks, or I see people saying the Steam Deck can play these games and my Switch can't, so I'm gonna ditch my Switch for a Steam Deck. And for the people that Nintendo has screwed over by not fixing their Joy-Con drift, people who just want to play in handheld mode, I am so sorry. Like, genuinely, it makes me so frustrated and angry that Nintendo's corporate policies are not dealing with... They're literally selling faulty products. That's not okay. That is not okay. 100% not okay. However, there's people who will just complain for the sake of complaining. And if you want to buy a Steam Deck and you want to get rid of your Nintendo Switch, buy a Steam Deck, I don't care. First of all, healthy competition is a good thing, because if there are things that the Steam Deck can do which the Switch can't do, and it's biting into the Switch's market share, Nintendo will see that and say, oh, we need to step up our game on this aspect of it. So healthy competition is a good thing. The fact that people are quote-unquote copying Nintendo is a good thing, because they're trying to copy. This is really the first quote-unquote copycat Switch we've seen. It may fail, honestly, because the whole disruptive marketing, and I know it's like a really weird terminology, but it's the whole idea of like basically making things that are unique and that are like hard to copy. Remember when everyone tried to copy the Wii and it didn't work very well? They had like PlayStation Move and all that crap. So I'm not saying the Steam Deck will necessarily fail. If it does well, I think it'll be a dose of hardy competition and a nice alternative to the Switch. I may actually get one, depending if it's actually good. It sounds tempting, considering I don't even own a gaming PC. Or a PC at all. So, yeah, like, it's tempting. But, again, would I stop playing my Switch? Absolutely fucking not. And to me, I feel like people who really want a Steam Deck and say, oh, this is what I'm looking for, and really want to play PC games on the go are not really the market for the Switch anyway. And people who are looking for an excuse to drop their Switch obviously have a bone to pick with Nintendo anyway. So again, people leaving these comments in the comments section, I just don't understand, because Nintendo's never going to read them. And people just going into the comment section saying, I hate you, Nintendo, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's actually really annoying. And it's really gross. Like, there's no reason to spread hate. You know, what if some random company person who doesn't have any control over the decisions read those fucking comments? You know what I mean? It's like, it's not that hard to be kind, and I don't understand why this is a thing. And I know not to give YouTube trolls attention, but I wanted to talk about my thoughts on the OLED model and the Steam Deck, because these are like talking points, which isn't really related to YouTube trolls. It's just something that got me thinking. But the last thing I want to say is that I see people who are saying they're not happy with Nintendo currently, and Nintendo's bad now, or like they turned to shit, which to me is really, really ironic that people are saying that now when they're obviously way more commercially successful than they were like in the Wii U and 3DS era. And I mean, in the Wii U era, everyone said Nintendo was dead. Everyone. And then the Switch came along, Nintendo's back alive, but then those people who aren't happy with Nintendo, and I'm not saying people don't have valid reasons to be unhappy with Nintendo. I have issues with Nintendo as of now. Not having access to old games, like not having stuff on the eShop like a virtual console, not having the Joy-Con drift fixed. Even if it doesn't affect me, it's still a problem. But saying that Nintendo is dead or they suck now, when the games they've been putting out, yes, there's some lackluster games here and there, but you gotta remember COVID. Everyone was struggling, but the games they've put out have been phenomenal. I don't understand, like, if you don't like the new games, that's fine, but, like, I just don't really understand the argument that, oh my god, Nintendo is... People are like, Nintendo's dead now, and they don't like Nintendo now. And this is obviously a small minority of people. Most people are very on board with the Switch. But it's something that I have noticed, and it actually really frustrates me because when I read comments from back then, when the Wii U and stuff was popular, I see a lot of people basically saying the Wii U, you know, how the Wii U sucks, the Wii U failed. And there's still people who say the Wii U sucks and the Wii U failed, and that the Wii U is trash. And people still say this stuff, and it's honestly really frustrating for me to see, because it's kind of like, make up your mind. Like, I feel like the same people who are saying, oh my god, Nintendo is dead, Nintendo sucks now, it was so much better and whenever, are the same people who complained during the Wii U era. Like, I just have that feeling. And this is something that is absolutely just needs to stop. Do not bring Iwata into any discussions or for the sake of argument. I don't mean you can't discuss it, but I mean, do not bring someone into a conversation for the sake of argument. I was again, Reddit post, people were doing it with Pokemon, were saying, oh my god, he'd be ashamed of Game Freak. It's like, no, like, you do not put words in anyone's mouth, especially if they're dead, but, here's the situation here. These people are either bootlicking, they're basically saying Nintendo's crap now ever since Iwata passed away, and, like, this shit, and it's like, can you not can you not for your arguments, because it's like, and then somebody was talking about, like, people using that to excuse Nintendo for things they've done. I'm like, nobody's excusing anything. Like, I don't understand why this is something that you have to do. Do not bring up someone like that for the sake of an argument, especially if it's an argument that's being made to put down other people. You're saying, oh, I hate Nintendo, I hate the people who are at Nintendo, and there's a difference between saying, hey, I have some legitimate criticisms of the company that I want to address, and screaming, oh my god, I hate Nintendo, in the comments section. And again, when it's more like putting words in someone's mouth in a negative way, it's like, oh, this person would be ashamed of you. Like, that's really fucked up, but saying in, like, a positive way, like, I don't want to put words in people's mouth either, but generally saying, I don't think you're being very productive or being very helpful to the discussion by saying negative things. And I don't mean, like, legitimate negative criticism, but I mean, like, saying, just hate comments. I don't think you're being productive, and I don't think, like, I don't want to, like, say anything, because, again, not putting words in people's mouth, that I don't think this is, like, where this should be going. I really don't think you're accomplishing anything, like, to put it that way. And you realize, if you're saying you hate Nintendo, you're saying you hate Miyamoto, and you hate, like, everyone who works there, everyone who's a long time. And I know those people would say, no, I don't hate Miyamoto, I just hate, like, it comes off. You were saying you hate a company that Nintendo sucks now, everything's bad. When you say shit like that, you are dragging the people who are good, and yes, people who Iwata was definitely friends with, that's where I do draw it and say, you do not basically essentially praise someone and then drag their friends. And I've seen this happen so many times, just in general. it is something that I've seen so many people will say, oh, like, I love this person, but this, or this is wrong, or this is like, and it's like, you are dragging people who, you know, can see this stuff, and it's just like, can you not, like, again, can you not use anyone really, as the sake of ammo for an argument? When I say, you shouldn't use dead people as ammo for an argument, obviously if it's like a historical figure or something, that's different. If it's like it's like, I want to use Hitler to argue that Nazis are bad. Like, I mean, of course, like, but I mean, I'm talking, like, in the sake of trying to make arguments about the state of a company, it's just really not cool. That's honestly kind of more of the issue I'm having with, like, YouTube comments. The other thing I want to say is that you never know who is reading your messages. And, like, you think, oh, that, like, when it comes to, like, hate messages, people think they're, like, immune, because they'll think, like, oh, either, like, people, they're never going to read it, like, oh, whoever's at Nintendo is never going to read it, and, like, it's true that all of the, like, higher-ups are never gonna fucking read the YouTube comments. Like, I don't think, whoever, it's escaping me, the current president's name is escaping me at the moment because, my brain is fucking dead, but I don't think he's gonna be scrolling through the thing. I don't think Shigeru Miyamoto's gonna be scrolling through YouTube comments. I really hope he has better things to do with his life, but I just think that, it's something that people need to realize, like, don't be terrible. I mean, it's pretty simple, but it's like, there are people, you never know who might be reading a comment, or, when people leave comments that are bad, or comments that are, and like I said, there are still people who did at the time and still do, either blame Iwata for the failure of the Wii U, or, like, blame, and I'm kind of like, I feel like that's on the marketing team, but again, I'm not going, like, naming it Wii U and then all the ads, but again, I'm not gonna, like, point fingers at anybody, because that's stupid. At the end of the day, there's no reason to hate somebody, even if it was someone's fault that a console failed, there is no reason to hate someone for that, that's stupid. But again, the fact that there are people who legitimately did hate and do hate on Iwata, and then there's the other side of the coin, and there's the bootlickers who hate on everybody now just because they aren't him. It's like, you are not being productive. But again, I just want to be very clear, you don't always know who could be reading comments, like, people's family members or friends could be reading comments. That does, like, what people don't realize is that people exist, and if someone is famous, that, yeah, if they have family, friends, co-workers, whatever, people will see comments. So even if, you don't think, oh, these people aren't going to see my comments. What about that intern? What about your summer intern at Nintendo? What about the person who's, 18 and does work but has no control over corporate decisions? I don't know. I'm just saying, you don't know. So trying to say, oh, you hate Nintendo, you're not you're not being productive. You're really not. And I'm saying, take your complaints to the right people. I don't think a YouTube comment section, again, I don't think anybody who actually has any control over this stuff is going to be reading YouTube comments. I just highly doubt that. I just don't think anyone's checking on the comments on the direct and being like, oh shit, people are saying this. I just really don't think that's happening. If you want to, like, email or, like, do something to, like, draw attention, and again, make sure you are, you know, talking, or, like, not, taking your criticism to the right people. These are obviously things on the corporate end that, you know, what if someone's an art designer or something? They're not gonna have control over, does the Joy-Con drift get fixed? You know what I mean? Like, there's just so many, like, jobs at a company where not everyone has control over one thing. So, don't just make blanket statements and try to, like, even if you find someone who works for Nintendo, don't automatically assume just because that person works for Nintendo, that does not mean they have control over everything that you have issues with. So, just because you find someone who works for Nintendo, that doesn't mean that you have to scream at that person. I mean, you shouldn't even scream. Even the people who are responsible, you shouldn't scream. But, again, it's like, don't just take that and find someone who works for Nintendo and be like, fix the Joy-Con drift, damn it. It's like, a lot, like, you gotta take these things on a corporate end. And like I said, I don't think the company president or any of the executives are reading the fucking YouTube comments. I just don't. And if they are, it's probably just, like, the top comments, which are, like, positive comments from creators. So I don't think any one of them are going in the tab, clicking newest first, scrolling down, and reading all these comments and being like, oh, well, I guess we better do this now. Like, I don't understand. And also, saying you hate a company, or, you know, if they were reading it, I don't think they're gonna see that and say, oh, let's fix the Joy-Con drift. They're gonna read that and say, oh, you're a troll, fuck off. Like, it's just, I don't understand. Yeah, it's just legitimately something that bothers me, and again, some of the stuff I just want to stop seeing when it comes to all this, and I'm just really tired, honestly. So yeah.